best Big Ten team of the past 20 years. Fun little hypothetical here. There's been tons of good ones. Some of the names that have been called out in our Discord include the Indiana team of Oladipo, Zeller, Wofford, Hulls, the Michigan teams back-to-back of Burke, Stauskas, Hardaway, and then Stauskas, Levert, GR3. Michigan State's redacted Cassius Winston team. If you wanted to, you could probably put the Cassius Winston, Xavier Tillman team as well in there. I would even accept the Denzel Valentine, Bryn Forbes Michigan State team that was very good. Going down the list, Wisconsin, Sam Decker, Frank Kaminsky, nasty team, made a national championship game. Illinois, if you wanted to, I would listen to like an Io Kofi year after we read that team's numbers. I don't think we're going all the way back to the D Brown Luther Head era. I know we said like best of 20 years, but I think we would probably just pick the D Brown Luther Head team if they were included. So let's go.
I think we're probably keeping it like in the tens, 2010s, 2020s, if you want to pick one of those teams.
Let's go post that year then. And then I don't know that I mentioned it. Purdue, the Jaden Ivey, Travion Williams, Zach Edey year. I think last year's Purdue team deserves mention here. And if you wanted to include one of the Thad Matta Ohio State years, I wouldn't fight you on it, but I don't know which one it would necessarily be because I'm not counting the Odin Conley year. And outside of that, I don't think they had
they probably pick like Dwayne Washington, Liddell?
That doesn't belong in this tier. No offense. But
was Malachi on that team?
Maybe.
Wait, no, I don't think so because I think Liddell came back for another year, but Washington left. And I think Liddell played one more year with Malachi, if I'm not confused. But I might be wrong on that.
That sounds right to me. But
okay.
Yeah, that was never like a dominant team, though. Yeah. All these other teams.
Also, walking that through, if you are picking that team over all the teams we just named, you probably need a little bit of help.
Yeah, all those other teams had a run or a dominant regular season. So what's your answer here? Who's the best Big Ten team of the 2010s and on?
Because I like to bend segments all the time, I'm going to do that really quickly here. My favorite team of all time, favorite, the Cassius, Xavier Tillman, McQuaid, that team. That's my favorite. That was a moment, a euphoric moment in my life. I loved everything about that team. I loved the run. I loved the players. It was a perfect situation. The best team to me is the redacted year. Like Cash, redacted, Jaren. I mean, that team was just disgusting. Langford, that talent-wise, that was just a really, really good basketball team. Don't look at the results. Talent, crazy. I'm just throwing that out there.
You actually think that team's ahead of the other nasty teams though? Because I think there's like one from each school that belongs right up there, and I don't think I would put.
Would you put the team that lost to Middle Tennessee ahead of that team?
No, on paper. If we're just going like on paper, the team itself assembled. Like maybe you got to stretch the hypothetical a little bit and say like if they played a 7-game series against these other teams, who would win? I think the team with Cash and Bridges and Jaren would win. I think that team would win in like 6 against the Zell and Bryn team. So, but I don't like if you made that team play a 7-game series against the best Michigan team, the best Wisconsin team, the best Purdue team, I don't think they win many of those series.
I'd have to look at it. I mean, shit. Cassius was playing some of the best Michigan teams, and he did beat y'all. So
Cassius did not have a great record against Michigan. I don't know why you're throwing that out as a number. He was basically 500 against Michigan in his career, even though he had the more talented team 3 of the 4 years.
Was he basically 500? You know that for a fact?
Yeah. This was like a big thing because that's why you gave me shit for years.
No, it was because it was a huge thing coming into that either the last year or the year before, and then we run 3 straight. Cash just won 3 straight, right?
Yeah, because there was a year where Michigan swept you guys, and I think it was the year you're talking about. The team that was nasty lost to Michigan twice, and then the following year they swept Michigan. So it kind of evened out. But before that, there was a point in Cassius's career where he was like, I think 1-3 against Michigan, and it didn't look great.
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, I don't think you could argue with those Michigan teams. Like the Trey, are we talking like Trey Burke, Stauskas?
Yeah, I mean, that team's obviously partial in my heart. Like that's my favorite team. Like flipping your thing around, but I guess I'm trying to envision a world. uh, in truth, I think the Stauskas led team was actually a little bit better than the Burke led Michigan team was. For whatever reason, the Burke led team like really hit a wall in conference play, and I never figured it out. It had something to do with they were trying to get McGarry more involved, and it was just clunky for a while. But the next year, when McGarry was on the court before his suspension, like Stauskas, GR3, Levert, Derek Walton, Zach Irvin, McGarry was like peak Michigan powers, and that team was ridiculous.
God, Zach Irvin really ruins that team for me.
But he was just in a sixth man sniper role. Like
I know, but he still just ruins it for me being on it.
they had a lot of iconic moments too. Like I think if we're picking one out of these groups, like you got to have some moments that are like, what'd you do in the big moments? And Michigan that season had Stauskas, like he hit a buzzer beater basically from a step inside half court at Illinois, and then turned to Illinois student section who all had like Canadian jokes for him and just like mean mugged him. He had the blow kisses moment at Breslin. He had a game winner at Cole Center. Like Stauskas was that dude that year, and it gave them an extra element of that. But I think like if you took your Michigan State team and the redacted year and made them play a 7-game series against either one of those Michigan teams, I think it goes 7. And I think I'd give the edge to the Michigan teams. There's one team that's not Michigan or Michigan State though that I'm willing to put in the conversation as maybe better than all of them. And I'm curious if you guys
I actually think I have an answer that I unfortunately don't want to say, but I think they are the best team with results, right?
with results. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
not who I'm going with then, because my team didn't have results.
I'm going with Wisconsin.
Okay, talk me through it.
They beat probably one of the greatest college basketball teams of all time, Kentucky. They fell in the national championship to a damn good, unreal Duke team. But like that run for them was just special. And Kaminsky and Decker and my original glue guy slash dog slash there was a time I wanted to be in my life. I wanted to be Nigel Hayes really badly. I thought Nigel Hayes was a dog. That was just a really damn good basketball team. And I don't think you can argue with the fact that they made that run in the tournament and gave that only Kentucky team that consisted of Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, all these guys, their first loss of the season when no one gave them a chance either. So, I mean, I don't think you could argue with that team's results. But at the same time, if you want to put that team against Michigan State's redacted team, I think I'm taking Michigan State in
That's what I'm
6
saying.
or 5.
If you put that Wisconsin team up in a 7-game series against either of the Michigan teams or the Michigan State team we're talking, I'm taking both in 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I just like this team. Love them. Kaminsky was insane. Decker was really fun. I enjoyed Bronson Koenig to an extent. Nigel Hayes was fun for a while. Josh Gasser was not. Like Josh Gasser was the 5th leading scorer on this team. He started 40 games. Josh Gasser, like that. I'm sorry, that should disqualify you from this equation if Josh Gasser was that important to your team. The one I was going to go with did not have results. If they did have results, I think this would be a no-brainer runaway. This is the best team. It's Tom Crean's Indiana team. And I think if we judge it by the 7-game series thing, truthfully, I think I would take the Zeller, Oladipo, Yogi Ferrell, Jordan Hulls, Christian Watford, Will Sheehy 6.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking that in a 7. Even over my Michigan teams. Look, they played my Michigan teams. Those teams overlapped, and Indiana won in Ann Arbor to win the Big Ten that season. They lost to a Syracuse own in the tournament, which will always haunt me because I think I picked Indiana to win it all that year. But for my money, man, I mean, like, think about how good Victor Oladipo was. He was so good.
He was so much fun to watch.
It's so fun. He was the runner-up for National Player of the Year. I think he was the second best player on that team. Like, that's crazy. Like, Cody Zeller was that good, and Oladipo was also like, they had 2 guys who should have been first-team All-Americans. Jordan Hulls is one of the best, most fun, just pure shooters there's ever been. Christian Wofford, incredibly fun and had a big moment of his own. Yogi Ferrell was like blossoming from like this fun little recruit to like he's going to kill the Big Ten for 3 years. Like everything about that team was fun. They were chippy. If that dunk Oladipo had against Michigan had gone down, we would never, ever talk about anything else. And yeah, I think at their peak powers, like they ran so well in transition, they shot so well. I just don't know how you beat that team.
Yeah, I think we're aligned on that one. I'm with you. That team was disgusting, and Will Sheehy being the sixth man was just the cherry on top.
It was perfect. And then they had that one dude who had like a buzz cut and tattoos who never got off the bench, but he like, I think it was like Derek Elston. He was like their 11th guy, but everything about him was like built in a lab for me to like because he was the perfect 11th guy. The only thing I feel like we're not giving enough love here at all to any of the Purdue teams. Because you could have picked the Hummel era, you could have picked Carson Edwards era.
Hummel was like 2009 though, wasn't it? Or was that
We're writing
like,
off that. We're saying that was too early.
I think that's the reason I did, but
Okay.
it might not be like if we did go back that far, like I think I would want to put like those teams with Juwan Johnson, Etwan Moore.
Yeah. Let's say we're not
teams.
allowed to though. So would you put the Carson Edwards team or the Jaden Ivey team or the Zach Edey team in this conversation or no?
I would put the Jaden Ivey team in there, I think, over the Carson Edwards team, just because of the pieces around Carson. Like, who's the center on those Carson Edwards teams?
Harms, I believe.
Was it? Yeah.
I think he had some Haas overlap and then some Harms.
Yeah, I just didn't rock with those two dudes.
Yeah. Not great.
Like, you talk about Gasser, like when you say Haas or Harms.
Those guys had good years at least, though. Haas did. Harms, I don't know, but
yeah. But like the version of Stefanovic that Carson Edwards had, love. And who what was his name? Number 14 hit Klein. Was it Klein?
Ryan Klein, yeah. Tyler Klein's brother, NFL brother, by the way.
That fact. Like I did love those Purdue teams.
Or no, I'm sorry. I'm totally confusing him with Grady Eifert. Tyler Eifert was his brother. Grady Eifert was a Purdue player. That's my bad. Ryan Klein does not have an NFL brother.
Well, you had me convinced. You could have rolled with it, but
sorry.
Yeah, I think I would go with the Jaden Ivey teams though.
Okay. So if that's the team we're picking from Purdue, then I would say they don't belong in this conversation. I would put the Jaden Ivey Purdue teams in with the Io Kofi Illinois teams. Good teams, not great teams.
So you rather put in the Edey teams then?
Well, that's my answer for who belongs in this from Purdue. It's this next season's Purdue team. I'm telling you right now. I'll go on record. I'll call my shot at the end of this season. National Player of the Year twice in a row, Zach Edey, mixed with the sophomore guards that I think are going to take a huge step. I think this team becomes a top 4 team in the Big Ten's last 15 years at the end of the season.
Wow. That's quite the statement.
It's quite a statement. I'm willing to, God forbid, if they just flop, like there'd be a lot of receipts on me, a lot of pitchforks out.
Are there any concerns with the release of the photos of Fletcher Lawyer looking like he didn't touch anything this summer?
Yeah, so I'd like to address this. I'd like to address this as a guy who also was terrified of the weight room for the first 16 years of my existence, into really 20 years of my existence. As long as you know you got it without the weights, I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Would I have liked to seen a picture of Fletcher Lawyer in the background? His biceps look a little bigger, a little more width to him. Yes, absolutely. Would have loved that. I care much more about what he's shooting from 3. That's what I care about. And lifting can throw off the 3, by the way. That can be an issue. Like, also, it's a whole different shot when you can bench 40 pounds more than you did in the fall. So I reserve judgment. Don't love it, but reserving judgment.
I'm very concerned.
You're very concerned.
I am extremely concerned because I think a lot of Lawyer's issues and walls that he hit coming into last year were because of injuries. And I think if you're stronger, more durable bodies, more adept to things like that, I think you can prevent some injuries like that a little bit more.
Is this a Lawyer family issue? Is this a A little too much Clarkston privilege. I don't need to work for what I want.
I didn't say it.
I'm just wondering. I don't know. Brian Waddell looks great. I'll say
He
that.
probably, I do picture like Lawyer went to go to bench press and then out of nowhere, Dane Fife like ascended from the ceiling and put the bench bar down and said, "No, you're a lawyer.
Yeah,
You're a Clarkson Wolf. Go, leave the weight room."
Fletcher, come with me. We must assess Republican candidates. Please. All right. We didn't mention for 1 second here. We did not talk about Iowa at all. Do any of the Iowa teams? I mean, they had the names that Basketball Jones threw at us were crazy. National Player of the Year twice in a row, Garza, 2 Murray brothers, everybody else. Like Pat McCaffrey's good. All these dudes are good. Does it matter?
We can't factor him in because Fran
just didn't accomplish. There has to be some accomplishment here for this to matter.
You have to put family aside sometimes for the greater good. He did not put family aside.
It's I would argue it's more impressive that Fran built that roster at Iowa, though, than anything else any of these other teams did. I think that the 2 most impressive accomplishments here are Wisconsin beating that 38-0 Kentucky team and Fran getting Luka Garza, 2 Murrays, and all the shooters, Wieskamp, what's his name? The kid that went to Kentucky, CJ Frederick, all these dudes. He got those dudes on a roster in Iowa City. That's more impressive than losing in the first round, like a bunch of these other teams did.
I definitely respect that.
Yeah.
Could have done more.
All right. So our definitive answer, do we agree with Sleeper sign off here that sorry, my camera's all messed up. Definitive answer, the best Big Ten team in the last 15 years. We're going Oladipo, Zeller, Indiana.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
I feel good about that.
Yeah, I think it's a fun answer. Kind of bummed it's not.
I feel like you don't feel good about it.
I don't know. Like, it's just, I wish any of these teams did anything in March. Like, that's why it's kind of leads me back to Wisconsin or one of the Michigan teams that made it that far, you know? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I still feel good about it. That team was just nasty.
Yeah. Okay. If it was a 7-game series, I do. I think that Indiana team tops. Okay. Final segment of the day.